Okay, because of the significant dilatation. The presentation of an abstinence is an pre-excitation, but they tend to get atrial fibrillation also quite commonly. Okay, but those are irregular. I'm talking about regular. You said TGA, large flow situations, acceptable. Truncus arteriosus,
Yes,
okay,
sir.
large flow
Yes.
situations. Then what about common anomalous pulmonary venous returns?
TAPVC.
Yes, TAPVC. It's a large flow
Okay.
situation. These patient children will have presentations with palpitation because of the perceivable heartbeats itself. Okay, in
Yes.
cyanosis. So your common things should be TGA, VSD with PS, your truncus arteriosus, your common, total anomalous pulmonary venous return. And we talk about irregular things. The highest on card comes Epstein's anomaly of palpitations. Okay, they
Yes,
can
sir.
also come in patients who have got TAPVC because they ultimately can go into atrial arrhythmias. Okay.
Okay, sir.
And lastly, tricuspid atresia. Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
in irregular palpitation. Then you talked about syncope as a presenting feature in this patient who has got
Yes.
cyanosis, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What are you
So
thinking in terms of, or
CCTG,
why did you ask him the history of syncope?
so like CCTGA, VSD, PS, which can have the complete heart block,
Okay, okay, accepted.
and
CCTGA with VSD with PS having complete heart block and presenting with syncope. Any other
Today,
situations?
AV septal defect
Sorry?
in AV septal defect with pulmonary stenosis, the top physiology.
Yeah, see, or you can just say that it is
I'm
pulmonary
going to
stenosis presenting with reversal of shunt at the atrial level. Yes, usually syncope. Any other? Any other?
Sir, Epstein's anomaly.
Epstein's anomaly, syncope is very, very uncommon. Okay, very, very uncommon. Which is the other situation where
Sir,
a VSD with
sir,
where a VSD would give rise to complete heart block or AV blocks who have VSD with PS. What type of specific type of VSD are we talking about?
the inlet VSD.
That's right, inlet VSD, the common atriums. I mean the common atriums and the common AV valves. Okay, with
Yes,
VSD with PS. These are the people who are likely to present with AV blocks. Okay,
yes, sir.
and can present with syncope. So when you ask about these things, you must be ready as to why you have asked for.
Okay, sir.
Okay, you understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead. Now the other thing is on crying. You said the cyanosis used to increase.
Yes, sir.
Correct. What is
Yes,
the
sir.
pathophysiology behind crying and increase in the cyanosis and increases in the cyanotic spell?
So whenever there is a stress factor like a crying, so
We are
there is a
talking about crying. We are not talking about any stress factor. Specific question, specific answer.
yes, sir. So whenever there is a crying, there is an increase in the cardiac output and increase in the heart rate and increase in the cardiac output that leads to the increased venous return to the right side of the heart. But in the presence of the fixed right ventricle output tract obstruction, it will lead to increased shunting from right to left side. So that will
So,
increase
what happens when the patient first starts crying?
the heart rate will increase.
You think the cardiac output immediately increases?
The heart rate will increase.
Yes, heart rate will increase. Correct. What happens when the patient starts crying? What happens? What is the simulation of crying to other physiological activity which is occurring or
And
maneuver?
exhaust,
Maneuver,
exhaust.
which is the close.
Valsalva.
That's right. It is closest to Valsalva. Okay, when the patients, because the first thing which occurs when the child is crying, there is an increase in the intrathoracic pressure. Okay,
Okay, sir.
And that sets off the Valsalva method. Now, as I told you, Valsalva is very, very important. Now, I am not going to answer you anything. I am going to ask you only questions as far as Valsalva. Annie, tell me what are the 4 phases of Valsalva and the relevance as far as the heart rate is concerned, as far as the cardiac output is concerned. Only 2 things. Phases of Valsalva.
Sir, initial phase is
No initial. First phase of Valsalva, second phase of Valsalva, third phase of Valsalva, and fourth phase of Valsalva.
Sir, in the first phase of the
Not acceptable, Annie.
yes, sir.
Valsalva is something you must know inside out. 4 phases. I'm not going to tell you now because somebody told me that I tell too many things. You people have to know Valsalva inside out. Take down a paper, write down
Yes.
what are the 4 phases of Valsalva. At first part, when the patient expiration against a closed
Okay, sir.
glottis. The reverse of that is what? Reverse of that is what? That's right, molars. That is inspiration against a closed glottis. Okay. So those
Yes.
2 different entities which occur. So you have the Valsalva, which is the strain phase, and the second is Valsalva, where there is a release phase. Correct or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
beyond that, I'm not going to tell anything. So you must, anybody wants to talk about first phase, second phase, third phase, related first phase related to the heart rate, the venous return, and the cardiac output. 3 things. Heart rate,
Sir, in the
venous
initial
return,
phase, sir, while we
cardiac
strain,
output. Yeah, first
so
phase.
during the initial first phase, during the straining phase, there is increase in the blood pressure. The heart rate may remain the same or decrease slightly. In the stage 2, when there is decrease in the venous return,
Heart rate remains the
blood-
same. Plus
in
minus.
stage 1, sir.
Yes.
Plus minus, yes, sir.
What happened to
In
the
the
venous
stage 2,
return?
in the
Venous
stage 2,
return.
venous
Venous
return,
return.
sir, it starts. Sir, initially in the stage 2, it starts decreasing.
First
sir. There
phase.
is decrease in
First
the venous
phase.
return.
What is your name? First phase. What is your name?
Sir, Sakib.
Sakib, first phase.
Yeah.
Venous return in the first phase.
Sir, slight increase, sir, in the venous return in the first phase,
Why?
sir.
Why? What is the first phase
Uh,
basically?
Sir, it is training, sir. We start training, sir.
Yes, training. So what happens to
Yes,
the
sir.
training phase? So when you talk about venous return, there are 2 aspects to the venous return. The systemic and the other is the pulmonary.
Pulmonary,
Okay.
sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
remember this thing. So
Yes, sir.
these 2 vary in the first phase.
Yes, sir.
What
Yes,
happens
sir.
in the first phase? What happens to the systemic venous return?
So the systemic venous
systemic
return will
remains-
decrease.
That's
Or
right,
it
it
is
decreases
mainly
because
same.
the intrathoracic pressure is high, no? Whereas the
Yes,
pulmonary
sir.
venous return increases at that mode
Increases, yes, sir.
because the blood is pushed out from the pulmonary veins into the left side. Okay? All right?
Yes, sir.
So what happens
Yes,
to the
sir.
cardiac output?
Slightly increased in the stage 1, sir,
Either
because of
it
the increase
remains
in
the
pulmonary
same,
return.
either it remains the same or it slightly
slightly
increases.
Increased.
This is first phase. Okay?
Yes, sir.
What is the second phase?
In the stage 2, sir, there is decrease in the venous return, sir, systemic venous return, and the pulmonary also, sir. So there is decrease
What
in
is
the
the
blood pressure.
second phase? What is the second phase? First phase is you start straining. Yeah. What is
Sir,
the
we
second
continue
phase?
straining, sir. In the stage
Yes, you
2, we continue straining,
hold.
sir.
You hold
Yes, sir.
phase. Okay.
Yes.
So in that phase, the intrathoracic pressure still remains high. Correct?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
what
sir.
happens to the heart rate?
Sir, in stage 2,
I think
will
heart
increase,
rate you take it little later. That you take it as the third because that is a reflection of what is happening as far as the hemodynamics are concerned. Come to the venous return.
Venous return is decreased, sir.
Both systemic as well as pulmonary,
And pulmonary,
decreases.
both are
Both of
decreased.
them
Yes, sir.
decrease. What
Yes,
happens to the cardiac output?
Cardiac output is decreased.
It falls. So what
Falls,
happens
yes, sir,
to the
it
heart
decreases.
rate? What happens to the heart rate?
Heart rate increases.
That's right. The heart rate is increases because to maintain the cardiac output. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I mean the stroke
Yes,
volume reduces to maintain it. The cardiac output, the heart rate improves. Correct.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Third phase. Third phase. What is the third phase?
It again, sir, we release the
It is immediate release of the
Immediate release.
straining. Correct.
straining. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
What
sir.
happens in that?
But because of the increased conductance of the pulmonary veins, there is further decline in the blood pressure.
When you
sir,
when
and
you
increase
no
in the
first
heart rate, sir.
Sakit, one sec. Venous
Yes, sir.
return for two phases, again systemic venous, pulmonary venous. So you tell us what
Yes,
happens to, see, I'm trying to make it very simple for you so you understand what are the phases of things. What happens to the systemic venous return?
Sir, slightly it will start improving, sir.
It
Increasing
immediately
slightly.
starts increasing the venous
Yes,
return,
sir.
but it is still not
Yes, sir.
reflecting onto the pulmonary because there is a gap
Bec-
between that to that. Correct.
And the
And the
capacitance is increased,
capacitance
sir.
increases. That's why the pulmonary vein output
They accommodate
further
more.
decreases.
Further decrease. Yes, sir.
Pulmonary
Yes, sir.
venous to the cardiac. So what happens to the cardiac output?
So again, sir, we will have decrease in the cardiac output and further decline in the blood pressure, sir.
That's right. It reduces, and then there is the heart rate remains the same.
Heart rate, it remains the same or slightly increases, sir.
Oh yeah, it
Further.
remains the same or slightly increases. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Then what happens?
Yes, sir.
Fourth phase. That means you have released.
Today I'm going to
everything. Yeah.
in
Release everything,
restrictive
sir. Now
and
we have,
I think pericardium is this process may
this thing, sir,
restrict.
the blood pressure will
Both
normalize,
the
sir, increase
systemic
over
venous, both the systemic venous increases, the pulmonary venous return
Pulmonary venous.
increases, the cardiac output
output
increases,
increases.
and the heart rate drops down suddenly.
Yes, sir. Reflex bradycardia.
Okay. So what happens to the heart rate first? Remains the same. Second time it
Remains the
falls. Third time it
And
falls.
then it's
Fourth time
overshoot.
it falls significantly and it starts overshooting. Okay.
Overshoot. Yes, sir.
All right. That is in the last phase of Valsalva. Correct.
I've been asked to speak
So,
on a bedside
when the
approach
patient
to
is
a patient
crying,
with
what does happen?
valvular heart
These are
disease.
phases of
And valvular heart disease is not a single
crying spell. Correct? Annie?
Yes, sir.
So they are relevant to the various phases of crying which tends to occur with a patient who has got underlying cyanotic heart disease. Okay. So the reflection of these things usually manifest when the patient takes a sudden increase in the breath after the crying spell, and then you tend to have increase in the right to left shunt which occurs with the fourth phase of the respiration. I mean of the Valsalva. So it is usually the manifestation from first phase. To differentiate between that, it's very difficult as far as the child is concerned. So from first phase, it directly jumps onto the fourth phase where there is an increase in the cardiac output, and in the face of a constant outflow obstruction, there is an increase in the right to left shunt, and they may present with cyanotic spells or increase in the cyanosis. Okay.
Okay, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So we talked about why the cyanosis increases in the thing. Okay. So
Yes.
in other words, what I'm trying to say, very good history presentation, but when you ask about certain irrelevant things,
Yes, sir.
like for example the chest pain, palpitation, syncope, you have to keep it in mind that the question is going to come as to what is the features if you are going to have history of chest pain, palpitation and syncope. Okay. All right.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. Very good. Good. Go ahead.
Sir, rest of the history, shall I say or summarize?
Yeah, summarize.
So, summarizing, 11-year-old male child, developmentally normal, with persistent cyanosis noticed since 1.5 years of age. No spells or symptoms of increased pulmonary blood flow during childhood. Normal exercise tolerance till 9 years of age. After which there was a gradual onset dyspnea on exertion, NYHA class 2 with worsening of cyanosis and restricted physical activity. History of squatting is present and advised stage surgery 3 months back at a cardiac screening camp. no neurological or hyperviscosity symptoms.
Okay, very good. Okay, one more question which I had written, forgot.
Yes, sir.
You said that the patient has got full-term normal delivery,
Yes, sir.
correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, what are the cardiac conditions present with premature deliveries, preterm deliveries?
So,
Not related to this, general question.
sir, premature deliveries can be in the syndromic cases, sir.
Why do you always talk about syndromic things?
Yes.
You don't think that premature deliveries have something which is very common?
PDA, sir.
That's right, PDA, no? So why do you talk about syndromes?
Yes, sir.
So PDA is the commonest presentation of preterm. What others? Incidence of heart disease in premature babies. PDA, yes. Top of the line. What about others?
Sir,
Pulmonary
LV out.
hypertension, primary pulmonary hypertension.
Persistence of pulmonary fetal circulation, no? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Persistent fetal circulation with pH.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
We'll talk about it, how you treat it and all those things little later. So persistent fetal circulation with pulmonary hypertension, correct? What others? Premature child. Okay, find out. I'm not
Yes,
going to tell you now.
Yes,
Okay, premature babies. The second is post maturity.
Okay, sir.
What is the association of post maturity with congenital heart disease?
So transposition of great output.
That's right. Very good. Transposition, that is, when you talk about transposition, this is a specific entity, complete transposition of great
Yes.
vessels. Complete transposition. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Of great vessels presenting with this thing. I am not too sure of any other disease which happens in the post maturity things. But prematurity, yes, there are to find out. Now,
Okay.
as far as when we are talking about the pregnancy related, if you have, what are the underlying diseases of the mother which will
Yes.
manifest with congenital heart disease?
So if she has gestational diabetes mellitus, so conotruncal anomalies are common in the baby.
Gestational diabetes, highest incidence is overweight babies with TGA.
Yes, sir.
Then your conotruncal abnormalities. Okay. What others? What other diseases of the mother will give rise to congenital?
Congenital rubella syndrome. The mother has the rubella infection in the first trimester.
No, we are not talking about the infections in the mother. We are talking about underlying diseases in the mother which can manifest with congenital heart disease. Yes,
Maternal
diabetes. Guess.
SLE.
Yeah, very good. SLE. Correct. What is SLE gives rise to?
Complete heart block, sir. Congenital complete heart block.
Yeah, that is one of the features of complete heart block. What other things? SLE. SLE only does not give rise to complete heart block. That is one of the causes of complete heart block in a congenital heart manifestation. What other things in SLE? This is a short question in your theory exams. Maternal disease is related to congenital heart disease. SLE, agreed. What other things are there in SLE?
Sir, mitral valvulitis.
tricuspid valvulitis, endomyocardial fibrosis,
No.
ascending aorta aneurysm.
Don't enumerate everything what you know about related to the connective tissue. Not at all. What are the other features related to SLE, and what are the other maternal diseases which can manifest with congenital heart disease? All right, we'll move on. So two things we will have to find out. Annie, you have to.
Yes,
Is
sir.
the premature child?
Yes, sir.
We talked about PDA and a persistent fetal circulation, and we talk about maternal disease. Okay, go ahead now.
Phenylketonuria, sir.
Yeah. What does that do? Phenylketonuria for child. You are right. What does the manifestation of that is there? As far as congenital heart disease is concerned. Okay, go ahead, Annie. We'll talk about it next time.
Okay, sir. Examination.
No, you come to a diagnosis, no? From the basis of history or the basis of history?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Cyanotic congenital heart disease, tetology of fallow physiology.
Yeah.
Possibilities are tetology of fallow or DORB, BSD, PS.
Yeah. Fellows. Yeah.
Tricuspid atresia, VSD, PS, or a single ventricle with PS.
Okay. Yeah. Very good. So it is basically a patient who is having a congenital heart disease with cyanotic, and the patient is presenting with features of squatting as one of the important things and progressive dyspnea, correct? So Fallow's physiology is highest on cards, then your closest differential is a tricuspid atresia or a single ventricle. Excellent. Go ahead.
So on examination, the child is awake, alert, comfortable in room air, thin build with a
Positive findings only. Yeah.
okay. So weight is 20.1 kg and height is 130 centimeters. Both are less than third percentile, sir. And BMI is 12 kg dot meters per. That is also less than third percentile. Conjunctival suffusion is present. And there is a uniform central cyanosis with the saturation of 78 to 80% all four limbs. Grade 3 pan-digital clubbing is present. And sir, her pulse is 80 per minute, regular, normal volume, normal character, all peripheral pulses palpable, no radiofemoral, radial delay. No respiratory rate is 60 per minute, abdominal thoracic. Blood pressure is 100/70 in the right upper limb, and right lower limb it is 110 systolic. JVP, sir, it is the mean column is not elevated, but A wave is quite prominent. Normal respiratory variation and abdominal jugular reflux is negative. On cardiovascular examination, inspection.
Wait.
Yes, sir.
As far as the patient's history is concerned, what is the mental status of this particular patient?
Sir, like.
What was the mental milestones of this particular patient?
Sir, he's studying in the 6th class, sir.
Yeah.
So he's studying in 6th class, average school performance. Like till now also he had been going to school just before the admission.
Correct. Very good. So his mental abilities and his mental development looks to be quite good. Correct?
Yes.
Right?
Yes, sir.
As far as this patient is concerned. What are the congenital heart diseases which are manifesting with mental retardation?
So cyanotic congenital heart disease is
or congenital, non-congenital, whatever it is.
yes.
Manifesting basically with mental retardation.
Okay. So cyanotic congenital heart disease, sir, because of the chronic hypoxia.
All cyanotics don't.
It's a technology of
Not accepted. Not at all accepted.
So Williams syndrome.
We are talking first about cyanotics. You mentioned first cyanotics. So tell me cyanotic first, where they present with mental retardation.
Sir, Down syndrome.
Very good. Down syndrome with tetralogy of Fallot. Correct? TOF. Quite a common association. Downs, of course, inlet septum VSD are the commonest, but Down syndrome can have The second possibility is of a VSD with PS. The VSD may be inlet or whatever it may be. So Downs with tetralogy of Fallows presenting as cyanotic heart disease with mental retardation. What
Yes,
about
sir.
other? What about other?
Noonan syndrome.
No, you come to non-cyanotic then. Okay, you are not finished
Okay.
with cyanotic. So ninth one, non-cyanotic heart disease. You
Congenital
talk
rubella
about.
syndrome.
Okay, very good. Congenital rubella syndrome. First on card. Rubella
So,
syndrome manifesting. Yes. Then
so Turner syndrome.
Turner's usually there is no mental retardation. Noonan's yes. Okay. The
Yes.
exos. Yeah. Noonan syndrome yes. Mental retardation. What other? Finished. Only two.
William.
Yes. Williams syndrome.
So DiGeorge.
Sorry.
21. So 21q11. DiGeorge.
DiGeorge by and large does not manifest with mental retardation. Which is the other ones which are commonly associated with congenital mental retardation? Rubella was excellent first. Noonan's is yes. Williams yes. What are the other syndromes which are associated with mental retardation with congenital heart disease?
Algili syndrome.
Sorry?
Algili syndrome. Algili syndrome.
What is that? I'm not too aware of that.
Sir,
What is that?
Mitochondrial myopathy, Kern-Stark syndrome.
Sorry?
Mitochondrial myopathy and Kern-Stark syndrome.
They present with congenital heart disease, cyanotic? I don't think so. They don't present with congenital heart disease.
Ellis Van Creveld syndrome.
Yes, Ellis Van Creveld syndrome. Okay, one of the presentation is a feature of mental retardation. What other?
Graduation. Graduation.
That's right, Cri-du-Chat syndrome. That is
Okay,
the okay.
Yes,
What
sir.
other? What other? Don't say okay, Annie. Still there are mental retardation. So we talked about one is congenital rubella. You talked
Yes.
about Noonan's. You talked about Williams. You talked about Ellis Van Creveld, Cri-du-Chat syndrome. What others? Find out. I'm not going to tell you these things. Sorry? Any other?
Edwards
is-
and Patau syndrome, sir.
I'm not too sure about the Edwards, and let me also find out Edwards and Patau syndrome. Okay, I will find out. But there is one more which I remember, which is there as far as the acyanotic heart disease. I also remember one which is also for cyanotic heart disease. And
So
as Neeraj-
DiGeorge syndrome for cyanotic.
DiGeorge syndrome, I said, but the presentation usually is not with mental retardation for DiGeorge. It is basically with the cyanotic heart, which is with truncus arteriosus. Yeah, DiGeorge.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll just check George. Sorry? Hello? Yeah. I can't hear. Anyway, one more you find out for non-cyanotic and the
Okay.
other one for the cyanotic. So a lot
Okay,
of
sir.
things for you, Annie. Okay. Find out.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay. So GDP, so mean column not elevated. A wave
Yeah.
is quite strong.
You said that A wave is prominent.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And a normal respiratory variation. And abdominal tubular reflux is negative. Cardiovascular examination and inspection and palpation.
Yeah.
Central in position. Chest is bilaterally symmetrical. No scars or dilated veins. Apex beat is left fifth intercostal space at mid-clavicular line. LV type with medial retraction, normal character. There are no parasternal or suprasternal pulsations.
How did you know that it was LV type?
Sir, there was LV type because there was a medial retraction. It was a localized and it had a medial retraction, sir.
So say that no, it is localized. Whatever the features are there and appears to be LV type. Okay.
Okay. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay. Okay.
And sir, no parasternal pulsations or suprasternal pulsations, no parasternal heave, no thrill and any palpable sound.
Yeah. Very good. Okay.
So percussion left heart border corresponds to the apex, right heart border is retrosternal, left second intercostal space is resonant, liver dullness on the right side and panic note on the left side.
Okay. Now, any one thing. See,
Yes,
when
sir.
you are talking about features and your differential diagnosis is what first thing is your Fallow's physiology, tetralogy of Fallows or DRV with PS. Okay. The second
sir.
one is what tricuspid atresia.
Yes, sir.
Correct. Particularly when you are talking about an LV type of an apex, or the third one is a single ventricle. When you are
Yes, sir.
talking about that, what is the other important thing which you have to tell me? What about the RV inflow pulsations?
So they were not there, sir. No, like
So-
pulsations were not,
So it is important that you tell us about those things, the RV inflow pulsations, which are very, very important for things. Okay.
Okay. Okay, sir.
So RV inflow pulsations are very, very important. You say that they are not felt or they are absent at all. Suggest that
Okay.
there is no RV here in this patient. Okay.
Okay, sir.
You talked about no parasternal heave. I know that there is nothing. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead then.
Sir, auscultation, sir.
Yeah.
The first heart sound is normal. The second heart sound appears loud and appears single, probably A2. No clicks or added sounds. Harsh crescendo, decrescendo, ejection systolic murmur of grade 3/6 intensity. Late peaking, best heard at the left third intercostal space, conducted to the bilateral infraclavicular area, and heard in supine position with diaphragm of the stethoscope, increasing with intensity with inspiration.
Okay.
And no murmurs at the back or the axilla, sir.
Sorry.
So no murmurs at the back or the
Yeah.
axilla.
Very good. Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
No LV, S3 or S4. So,
All right.
and no additional heart sounds, no additional murmurs. Sir, per abdomen, liver not palpable, soft, non-distended. Other systems are normal, sir. CN is also no neurodeficit. Chest is bilateral normal vesicle sounds are there, no creps.
Okay. Fine. So what is your diagnosis? You want to give diagnosis or you want to give differential diagnosis?
So, diagnosis, sir.
Okay. Single diagnosis. Very good. Give us.
So, cyanotic or congenital heart disease with decreased pulmonary blood flow, tetralogy or phallophysiology, LB dominant. Most probably it is tricuspid atresia with VSD with
No,
PS.
What? See. What are you talking about? When you give your diagnosis, what are you talking about? Tetralogy of Fallow.
Sorry, sir. LV dominant, not the
So you don't talk about tetralogy of Fallow. Where is your tetralogy coming here? When you give the diagnosis, you say that it is a congenital cyanotic heart disease with decreased
Yes, sir.
pulmonary blood flow, with an LV type of an apex, yeah,
Yes, sir.
and a single second heart sound, correct?
Yes, yes, sir.
With an so
So, sir, it is a
Possi-
possibilities, sir. Tricuspid atresia, VSD, pulmonary stenosis, sir.
yes, so it is tricuspid atresia type 2.
1B.
Type 1B, correct?
Yes, sir.
So this is your
And-
final diagnosis, yeah? And what? In sinus
And-
rhythm.
In sinus rhythm, NYHA class 2, no evidence of infective endocarditis, neurological complications or hyperviscosity.
No suggestive of, okay. So
Yes, sir.
So don't make such blunders like talking about tetralogy of Fallows. And when you talk about diagnosis of tricuspid atresia, okay, so you must make a mention of the type, that is type
Yes, sir.
1B, because the next question is likely to come to you is what are the other types of tricuspid atresia and other things. All right.
Yes. Yes,
Now
sir.
one question I want to ask you.
Yes, sir.
In your physical finding, you said that it is a single second heart sound. Obviously, it is the A2 component because the P2 is not audible here because of the
Yes.
severe pulmonary stenosis. You said that it is an ejection systolic murmur. Crescendo, Greek crescendo, peaking late in systole. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, sir.
And increasing with inspiration.
Yes, sir.
What does that denote?
So it will not be here because it is a tricuspid atresia.
Sorry, it is a tricuspid atresia, but you are talking about a murmur which is increasing with inspiration.
Yes, sir.
How do you explain that?
It won't be there, sir.
Correct, it won't be there, no? There is no possibility of the murmur increasing with this thing. Where is the murmur occurring from?
Sir, pulmonary stenosis, sir.
Exactly, pulmonary stenosis. Where is the pulmonary stenosis getting the blood from?
Sir, through the VSD, LV through the VSD to the PA. Pulmonary
That's
artery.
right. It is getting from the left side, isn't it?
Yes.
To the pulmonary vasculature. So, is
Yes.
there any relation between phases of respiration and the left and the crescendo decrescendo murmur? There is not going to be, no?
Yes, sir.
Correct or not? It is not
Yes.
going to increase because it's a left-sided event which is manifesting because the pulmonary flow is coming from the left ventricle through the VSD and this thing. Now the second thing I'm going to ask you is this patient has got a wave which is prominent.
Yes, sir.
In a patient whom you are diagnosed as a case of tricuspid atresia.
Yes,
Correct?
sir. Yes, sir.
How do you explain that?
Sir, because there will be increased force of right atrial
First thing is, I'm asking you, what is the physiology of the circulation in a patient who has got tricuspid atresia with VSD, with normally related great vessel with pulmonary stenosis? That means type 1B. Okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What is the physiology of the blood flow in this patient?
Sir, here the systemic venous return, sir, physiology will depend also upon
Start from the venous side, coming from
Yes.
the SVC and the IVC, the
Yes,
blood
sir.
coming to the right atrium. Then what happens to that?
the right atrium. Then there is an obligatory right to left shunt from the right atrium to the left atrium. From the LA.
Is it always an obligatory shunt?
Mm. Yes, sir.
You're right. It is always an obligatory shunt, but occurring through what?
Sir, either a PFO or through an ASD.
PFO or an ASD. Very true. Absolutely. Then goes into the left ventricle. Correct? Because the tricuspid valve is atretic. It goes into the ventricle through the VSD. It goes into a right ventricular outflow tract and to the pulmonary vessel.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, when you talk about a wave which is prominent, what does it tell you?
So A wave, if it is prominent, it tells that there is a restrictive interatrial communication, sir.
Correct. So is it likely to be a PFO or a restrictive ASD in a case of tetralogy? I mean, in the case of a tricuspid atresia. Correct.
Yes, sir.
If the patient had significantly large atrial septal defect in this patient, the A wave will be seen, but it will never be prominent. Understood?
Okay. Yes, sir.
Because why the A wave will be prominent? Because it is reflecting basically the left-sided event. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Which is the left atrium and the left ventricle. Okay. Where the A
Yes.
wave is well developed usually, but it is never prominent. The very
Yes, sir.
fact in this tricuspid atresia talking about a prominent A wave, I am concluding that the patient has got either a stretched PFO or the patient has got a restrictive ASD. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So when you talk about this particular final diagnosis, I would have been happier if you would have said that the patient has got a possibility of a restrictive interatrial communication.
Okay, sir.
You understand, no? Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes,
This is a
sir.
very important point because the therapeutics of this particular baby will be now. He's a grown child, almost 11 years. Okay,
Yes, sir.
so usually
So
a
what about
patient
rise in
yeah
RA pressure? Then
rise in
that
RA
should also
pressure.
be present.
No, why should the patient RA pressure be rising? It is reflecting onto the LV types of hemodynamics. It does not increase. The LV is usually does not go into failure or anything in these patients. It reflects a normal LV end diastolic pressure. So no question of increase in the RA pressures in this case. So the possibility here, which I'm trying to conclude to you, Annie, is that I do not agree to you that the patient has got a prominent A wave here. Because
Okay,
if
sir.
the patient had a restrictive ASD, I don't know the findings, restrictive ASD or a stretched PFO, the patient would have been symptomatic right from
Yes, sir.
1.5 years of age. He would not have manifested this over the course of almost 9 years. Okay.
Yes, sir.
In
Yes,
those
sir.
situations, the patient would have needed some interventions before. And what is the interventions you would have thought about?
So balloon atrial septostomy or
That is the Raskin's procedure, isn't it? You would have liked to do the opening up of the interatrial septum to see that the communication remains good. Correct?
yes, sir.
Yeah. So I don't think that the the A wave would be prominent in this particular patient. The R wave, as I said, is seen in a case of tricuspid atresia, but it is never prominent. If it is prominent, then it signifies a restrictive ASD or a patent foramen ovale. You understand?
Okay, sir.
In a tricuspid atresia. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Now, as far as this patient is concerned, he is presenting with type 1B.
Yes, sir.
What are you going to offer to him?
Sir, for this patient, sir, he will go into the single ventricle pathway, sir.
Yeah, he's got
So-
a good. You don't know how good the right ventricle is here.
Yes, sir.
Correct or not?
Yes, sir.
So, what will you do for this patient?
Sir, we will go for the
We are still not gone to the X-ray and the ECG, but as far as the therapeutics is concerned, we'll talk about it now.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
So we will go for the right bidirectional, right or left, like depending upon the presence of the SVC, bidirectional Glenn plus atrial septectomy. If it is a
Why do you want to do a Glenn at the age of 11 years? Or why do you want to do a shunt in this particular patient? First question is, the second question is, what if at all you are thinking of a corrective surgery, what is the
Yes.
surgery you would do in this patient?
Sir, it will be a Glenn followed by Fontaine procedure, sir.
No. First thing is, why are you going in for a Glenn shunt here? What is the idea? Why do you want to have a Glenn?
Sir, to improve these, to unload the single ventricle, to unload the left ventricle, and also to improve.
Where is the patient? Is not showing any signs of any decompensation of so.
Yes, sir. You can directly go for the
Is there a rationale of doing any shunt pulmonary vascular? I mean, shunt in this patient?
no, sir.
So, in other words, what are the patients in which you have a pulmonary oligemia? What is the indication of doing a shunt surgery in them? Whatever it may be, we are not talking about Glenn's, we are not talking about a BT shunt, we are not talking about a Waterston shunt.
Yes, sir.
What is the rationale of doing a shunt in a child?
So to improve the pulmonary blood flow and improve the oxygenation.
First is the age of the patient, okay?
Yes, sir.
By and large, usually for total corrections, they are happy if the patient is more than 1 year of age, or ideally speaking up to about 4 years of age. Correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You can do if you have got a very good surgical team, 1 year is the cutoff period, or if you have a fairly good team, then up to 4 years. Okay, so you'd like to do a shunt. One is the age. This second is what?
So it depends upon the pulmonary artery anatomy, sir.
Why you're talking about the anatomy? First is what? If there is a severe pulmonary stenosis occurring in them, in these patients, and then you want to tide over the situation if the patient is getting repeated cyanotic spells or so, then if the patient falls below the age of 1 year, then you would do a temporary shunt for the, particularly so if you find that the patient's pulmonary arteries are ill developed.
Yes, sir.
Okay, ill developed. That means you want the pulmonary vasculature to grow in these particular situations, right?
Okay, sir.
All right. What
Yes,
are
sir.
the other indications for doing shunt? These are in broad the shunt.
Sir, if the patient is quite sick and birth weight is
Yes,
like
yes, we are talking about that. That's why we said that patient who is less than 1 year of age is having severe symptoms as far as the pulmonary stenosis is concerned, having lot of cyanosis, lot of, what is the other aspect of cyanosis which occurs?
In case of severe cyanotic spell, emergency BT shunt can be.
Yes, in emergency, we talked about that. If the patient is quite sick and the patient is getting repeated episodes of cyanotic spells on crying or so, then you would do a shunt surgery. Or if you find that the pulmonary vasculature is ill developed, you would like to do the shunt surgery, whatever it may be, to tide over to the situation and to see that the pulmonary vasculature is well developed. Okay. The third is, what about the consequences of cyanosis which occur in the child?
To reduce the hemoglobin, the hyperviscosity.
That's right. If you have a patient who has got a very high hemoglobin, which is more than sometimes 20 grams, okay,
yes, sir.
these patients have got coagulopathies which are occurring in them. So the two things which they do, if they are sick patients and if they are in a hypercoagulable state, you would advise them to undergo a shunt before you take them up for surgery. Or the other is, if the patient is stable, you do phlebotomy and then you would take them for surgery. But in children, you would like to tide over the situations by doing a shunt surgery and then come over it. Okay. All right.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, in these patients, we are not talking about doing a shunt surgery because obviously the child is well grown, and on echocardiography, I don't know what it is, but is likely to have a well developed pulmonary vasculature. So what is the surgery you're talking about in this patient?
So then we can do the Fontaine completion, so total cavopulmonary connection.
Yes. The Fontaines. There are two types of Fontaines. One is the conventional Fontaine and the other is the modified Fontaine.
Yes, sir.
Correct?
Yes,
Correct
sir.
or not?
Yes, sir.
So what is the difference between a conventional Fontaine and what is the difference, what is there in a modified Fontaine?
The conventional Fontaine was the earlier we used to do the atriopulmonary Fontaine, sir, in which
Where
the
atrio? From where to where? Atrio where?
right atrium, sir, right atrium and the
Why, right atrium has got so many structures in it. The body is there, the appendage is there,
posterior
or the
wall
base
of
is there.
the posterior wall of the right
Appendage,
atrium.
Where is the question of any from posterior wall? Where is the posterior wall of the RA? Where is it coming very close to the pulmonary vasculature? It is far away, no?
Yes, sir.
It is very far away from
Appendage,
the
sir.
pulmonary vasculature. Yes, RA appendage. What do you do from RA appendage? Are you
Through the
talking about are we talking about conventional or are you talking about the modified Fontaine? What is the conventional and what is the modified? What is the difference between the two?
So in the modified Fontaine, sir, we are using the conduit PTFE graft or the conduit is used to make a connection between the IVC, inferior vena cava, and to the RPA, right pulmonary artery, in addition to the glen.
That's right. That's right. You do a modified, but nowadays what they do, they don't do it from the IVC, they do it from the RA appendage. Okay, the shunt
sir.
going in directly with the the conduit, which is a valve conduit. Okay,
Yes.
going in from the RA appendage directly into the pulmonary artery. Okay, what is the
Yes, sir.
conventional Fontaine? That you must know.
So lateral tunnel Fontaine.
Sorry.
So one is lateral tunnel Fontaine also.
Very good. What is the lateral Fontaine and what is the regular?
So lateral tunnel Fontaine, which the part of the RA will be used to form a tunnel, and the IVC blood will be directed through the tunnel into the RPA. The conduit will not be used, sir. The conduit will not be used in that.
In conventional, the conduit was never used. Okay. So you
Okay,
have
sir.
the two major arteries which are coming. One is the SVC and the other is the IVC. Correct?
Yes, sir.
The venous, and you have to divert it to the pulmonary vasculature. Okay. So
Yes,
how
sir.
are you going to do that of the SVC and how are you going to do it of the IVC?
The SPC to RPA will be end to side anastomosis.
SVC to?
Right pulmonary artery end to side anastomosis.
Yeah. Okay.
SPC
End to
will be
side. Yeah.
end to
End
side
to side.
anastomosis.
What about IVC?
IVC will be directed through the lateral wall of the right atrium into the right pulmonary artery.
So you have got two connections to the right pulmonary artery. One is
I've been
from the
asked to
SVC and
speak
the
on
other
a
from the
bedside
IVC,
approach to a patient with
or it is something different.
valvular heart disease. And
We talked about the 10 parameters of Fontaine's, correct?
Yes, sir.
After fulfilling all the 10 parameters of Fontaine, you consider that the patient is a candidate for Fontaine surgery, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So you undertake either the conventional Fontaine or you do the modified Fontaine. Now, most of the time it is the modified Fontaine which is done. Most of the time. But as far as history is concerned, you must know what is the conventional Fontaine. From
Okay, sir.
where it is attached to what. So third question for you, Annie, you got a lot of questions to answer next time. Is
Yeah.
what is the conventional Fontaine as far as connections are concerned? IVC to where? SVC you said, correct. I agree to you. It goes to the RCA. I mean to the right pulmonary artery. All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we have already talked about the Fontaines. All right. Let us see the ECG. You have the ECG with you?
Yes, sir.
Sir, I'm sharing.
I don't see it. Where is it?
Sir, please. It will take time, sir. Just half a minute. You can see, sir, now.
Yeah, I'm seeing. Yes.
Sir, it is 12 lead ECG, normal standardization. Heart rate is 90 per minute with sinus rhythm. There are the tall P waves in the lead P2, and also the duration of the P wave is about more than 120 milliseconds in lead P2, lead 2. So it's suggestive of the biatrial enlargement. Also, there is a negative terminal P wave in the V1.
Yeah. So it is
Uh,
biventricular, biatrial enlargement, left
Yes,
axis
sir.
deviation. Okay.
Left activation and
Normal
sir,
PR.
yes, sir. LV forces are present, sir, and deep S1 and V1, and
Yes.
V5 we have the R wave.
So it
absent
suggests of LV potentials, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And no suggestive of any RV potential seen as far as the ECG is concerned. Okay, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, in a tricuspid atresia, besides, what are the classical features and which are the uncommon features with tricuspid atresia on the ECG?
So there will be left axis deviation with the presence of LV forces, and
Yeah,
also
which we see here. Yeah, okay,
there will be counterclockwise depolarization with Q waves in 1 and AVL.
correct. Yeah, okay. Which usually are very difficult to see because of the significant left axis deviation for them. Yeah, all right.
And tall peak P waves suggestive of right atrial enlargement.
Yeah, particularly if you find that there is an obstructive atrial septal communication, then the R wave is, the A wave is much more, the RA is dominance is there. But here it is right. Or anything other things you would like to see, basically, or you talk about abnormal things? Tricuspid atresia is one of the causes of complete heart block.
Okay, sir.
Correct or not?
Yes, sir.
What are the 5 differential diagnoses of a complete heart block in a congenital heart disease? First one, in order of frequency.
So congenitally corrected the transposition of gate arteries.
CCTGA, yeah. Then?
Then complete AV septal defect.
Yes, AV canal defect, inlet septum VSDs, yeah. Complete, very
And
good. Third is your tricuspid
Abstain.
atresia. Yeah, tricuspid atresia or single ventricles. Then comes your, yes,
Epstein's anomaly.
Epstein's anomaly. Then what? Last one is what?
TRV very rarely.
Oh, no. There are 5 only differential diagnoses for complete. AV canal, single ventricle tricuspid, Epstein, and child of a SLE. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Child of an SLE. 5 differential diagnoses. Okay? So you have to talk about the PR interval in these patients who have got tricuspid atresia. Now the other question I want to ask you, why do you say it is tricuspid atresia and why is it not a single ventricle with VSD with PS?
So single ventricle VSD PS will have stereotyped complexes, the QRS complexes, sir, in the precordial leads.
Yes, very good. Stereotype complexes in
And also,
the chest leads. Yeah. Axis can be left axis deviation. On the basis of the axis and the ventricular predominance, can you diagnose what type of single ventricle is there?
yes, so single ventricle of LV morphology will have the QRS axis inferior or rightward, and the single ventricle which will have the outlet, the inverted outlet chamber, and with a non-inverted chamber, sir, it will be the axis will be left axis deviation.
These are in general usually the features of a single ventricle. What is the diagnostic features of a Holmes heart as far as ECG is concerned? What is the Holmes heart?
So it is the single ventricle of LV morphology with the normally related gate arteries with pulmonary stenosis, pulmonary or pulmonary stenosis.
Yeah. So what is the characteristics of the ECG on the base of as far as Holmes heart is concerned?
So it will have the left axis deviation.
No.
Oh, no, sir. It will have the right axis deviation.
Either it has to be right axis or it has to be left axis deviation.
So
correct or
right
not?
Yes, sir. And sir, it will be the clockwise depolarization.
No, not accepted. Anybody? Holmes heart. ECG characteristics of a Holmes heart, which is slightly different than the usual entities of a single ventricle.
The stereotype QRS complexes.
Add on to one more to find next time. the ECG feature of a Holmes heart. All right,
Yes, sir.
go on to the X-ray.
So this is the X-ray chest PA view, well centralized, showing no cardiomegaly, and with a CT ratio of around 50%. LV type of it's levocardia with the LV type of configuration. And sir, we can
Sir.
on the right.
Again modify the statement suggestive of left ventricular type of things. Okay, on a PAV
Okay.
you cannot say that it is left ventricular. I keep on telling again and again. You say that yes, the apex appears to be down and out. Yeah, suggestive of a left ventricular type. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And so the right heart border, the lower part of the right heart border is receding, sir, suggestive of absence of right ventricle.
Say that again.
So the lower part of the right heart border,
Yeah.
it is looking as if it is receding. Like
I don't think so. You are seeing the right heart border. Don't see too many things
okay,
to fit into your diagnosis. No, you seeing the RA border, which is quite good, consistent, not significantly enlarged. Yeah. The SVC shadow also is quite well seen. What about the left side? What about the left border?
the left border is the aortic knuckle, aortic arch looks prominent, and it's the left-sided aortic arch, sir.
Yeah, it looks to be definitely. It looks like a aortic knuckle is well seen, and there is a left-sided aortic arch. Yeah, the trachea is more to the right. Okay.
Yes.
What about the pulmonary conus? What about the pulmonary bay?
It's a concave pulmonary segment only, sir. It's not prominent.
But it is not concave. There is no pulmonary bay here. There is a fullness in the pulmonary area. Correct or not?
Yes, sir. And all lungs.
So let me ask you, is it a patient who has got a corrected transposition?
So in corrected transposition, we will have the leftward convexity, sir, on the upper part of the left heart border.
Usually it comes as usually a straightening of the left heart border. Yeah.
And sometimes it will be a mesocardic heart also, sir.
No. Usually in corrected transposition, the left heart border goes on to form the aortic knuckle. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Because it goes like from one side directly up. Okay. And merges with the aortic knuckle shadow. You won't see a separate aortic knuckle coming onto the side. Okay. That is one part of it. In a patient who's got a transposition, what happens to the pulmonary artery shadows?
So it is posterior. So in pulmonary atresia, it will be
Pulmonary
concave.
artery shadows is the question asked to you. I am not talking about pulmonary stenosis. What happens to the pulmonary artery in a patient who has got transposition? What is the lie of the pulmonary arteries in a patient who has got transposition?
Both will be at the same level, sir. RPA
Sorry?
will be up. So both right pulmonary and left pulmonary artery will be at a higher, at the same level.
It's not at the same level. They can be normally also the pulmonary arteries are basically the left is slightly higher than the right. Okay. But in transposition in general, both the pulmonary arteries are at a much higher level than the normal pulmonary arteries. Okay. And why does that happen?
Sir, because of the prominent SVC shunt.
What? Where is the SVC shunt here?
No, sir.
Yeah, anybody? Why is the pulmonary arteries usually higher in transposition settings? I don't think you people have seen too many angios of transposition settings. Are the pulmonary arteries at a higher level or not in pulmonary in transpositions?
Yes, sir.
Yes or not?
Yes, sir. Because
Usually,
PH posterior, sir, that is.
sorry, because
So
of what?
because of the posterior position of the pulmonary arteries, posterior in that.
So what happens? Why do they go higher up? If you see the X-ray of a transposition, the pulmonary arteries appear to be a much higher level than normally what you see. Okay,
Yes.
there is a reason for that. Why do you see that they are much at the higher levels? Anybody wants to answer that? Or we add one more to Annie to find out?
Yes, sir. I will see, sir.
Hmm? Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Go ahead. Of the X-ray, pulmonary vasculature.
So oligemic lung field, sir.
Yeah, but practically oligemic. Beyond the 1/3 of the heart, of the thoracic shadow, you don't see any pulmonary vasculature at all in this patient. Correct or not?
Yes, sir.
Particularly in this. So it is pulmonary oligemia and left ventricular type of an apex, where the heart size appears to be just about 50% CT ratio.
Yes, sir.
Right?
So
So
can we
it's,
see scoliosis also, sir?
sorry?
Mild scoliosis.
I am not able to see that part of it.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, okay. I can't make anything out of it. Yeah, doesn't look to be anything related to that. Anyway, so heart size is practically normal with pulmonary oligemia, left aortic arch, and it still fits into your diagnosis of a tricuspid atresia
Yes, sir.
with a normally related great vessels with pulmonary oligemia. Echo?
Yes, sir. The echo video is there, sir.
Yeah, echo. What is it showing? Echo video?
Sir, it shows it is a tricuspid atresia. Sir, shall I describe the video?
Yeah, it is showing that there is a good atrial septal defect in this patient, correct?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Shunting right to left, sir.
Yes, shunting from the right to the left. Single AV valve, which
Yes,
is the
sir.
left-sided AV valve. Yeah.
And sir, there's a small VSD. So shall we call it as a restrictive VSD, sir? The one.
Good AV valve. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Large AV valve, no regurgitation occurring at the AV valve. Important, no?
Yes, sir.
Because if you are contemplating a correction or a Fontan, we want to know all these features.
So normally related arteries, and there was subvalvar and the valvar pulmonary stenosis was there.
Okay. Now, is the valve? Can you show the previous shoot where we see both the ventricles coming? You see that it is normally related great vessel. The pulmonary artery looks to be of good size, main pulmonary artery, correct? I did not see the flow in the infundibular region. This one. Okay. Now, Annie, is there a straddling of the other one, where the valve was seen very beautifully? The AV valve was seen very beautifully, opening up beautifully. You could see also the chordae.
Yes, sir.
Is there a straddling of the AV valve?
No, sir. It was not looking like.
When will you say that the valve is straddling?
So when the chordae of the valve are attached onto the crest of the ventricular septum or on the opposite side of the ventricular septum, sir.
Yeah, from the inappropriate ventricle. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it is coming either from the edge of the ventricle, ventricular septal defect, or on the inside of the inappropriate ventricle, whatever it may be. So it is straddling or it is not straddling. It doesn't appear to be straddling. The pulmonary arteries here are of quite good size. Yeah,
Yes,
pulmonary valve also is of good size. So it predominantly looks to be only a infundibular pulmonary stenosis, right?
Yes, sir.
Good size pulmonary. And there you can see that the septum is quite well developed in this patient. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
With us VSD there at the edge. Now whether the VSD is restrictive or not is very difficult to interpret because of the size of the ventricle and the gradient occurring across it. Now how much is the gradient across the right ventricular, I mean across the pulmonary outflow?
Sir, it was around 70 millimeters of mercury, sir.
70 millimeters. So it's quite a significant pulmonary artery stenosis occurring. So in this patient, how would you approach as far as the corrective surgery is concerned? Would you go ahead for a Fontan or whatever? What would you do?
So we can do the cardiac MRI to assess the RV volume and the RV size, and we can also go for the 1.5 ventricular repair, sir. It is like Glenn and
Again, you are talking about Glenn. Supposing you are contemplating giving him a Fontan surgery, correct? Okay,
Yes, sir.
a corrective, near corrective surgery for him.
Yes, sir.
So what are the things you would like to know for this patient? Important thing to know in this patient.
Sir, we will want to know the AV valve regurgitation, the left
That
AV
we have
valve.
seen, the LV function is good, the systemic venous connections are all right, the venous connection, pulmonary venous connections are good, the right ventricle is fairly well developed. Okay.
Yes, sir.
The pulmonary artery is of good size. The pulmonary valve also appears to be good. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is basically infundibular stenosis. So what is the next important thing you want to know?
We will want to know the mean PA pressure, sir, and the PVRL.
Correct. You basically want to know what is the pulmonary artery pressure and the pulmonary vascular resistance. Okay.
Yes.
So what are the criteria for operability in patient?
The mean PA pressure should be less than 15 millimeters of mercury, sir.
Correct. It should be less than 15. And what about the pulmonary vascular resistance?
So it should be less than 4 Wood units dot meter square. Ideally
Three. Less than 3 Wood unit. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
For that. So supposing if the patient now he has reached an age of almost 11 years of age, correct?
Yes, sir.
He's got a very well developed pulmonary artery and a good pulmonary flow with good pulmonary valve. What do you expect in this patient? The pulmonary artery pressure will be 15 or the patient will be having higher pressure?
So it will be low because the obstruction is at the subpulmonary level.
So what I'm trying to ask you, Annie, is how are you going to proceed as far as the hemodynamic measurement is concerned in this particular patient?
Sir,
The patient has come to you, the patient is on the cath lab table.
yes, sir.
So how
we will assess the PA pressure, sir.
How?
So we will from the right femoral venous axis. It will be the catheter route. We can take the Judkins right catheter, sir.
Yeah.
And we will the route of the catheter will be from the right femoral vein to the IVC to the RA through the ASD into the LA, then LV, and through the VSD we can enter into the PA, sir.
Is it so simple? Have you done any time a catheter of a tricuspid atresia patient? Normally related great vessels to enter into the pulmonary artery? The direction of the flow is very simple to follow, but the catheter to go across is very, very difficult.
Okay, sir. So we can do the pulmonary venous wedge.
Yes, you would like to do the pulmonary venous wedge pressure in this patient, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Correct or not? Because the patient has got an ASD. Very simple. Let me tell you that to go across the VSD into the pulmonary artery, you have to be lucky. And it takes hours sometimes to go through. The better way is to go by the floating catheter. Okay, the
Okay,
Swan-Ganz type of catheters, which will help you to go across the VSD and then go into the pulmonary artery. The simple catheter, usually it is very, very difficult to go. The other catheters which are used to go are the malleable catheters, which are the headhunters. Okay. The
Okay, sir.
headhunters are a very short 4 French catheter which can easily float across into the thing. But the best and the easier method here is to look for the pulmonary arterial wedge pressure and then determine how much is the pulmonary artery pressure. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Going across all these things is very, very difficult. All right. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So once you have determined that pulmonary artery pressure, then you will take into consideration whether the patient is a fit person for Fontan or not. Supposing the pulmonary artery pressure is 40 and is about 30, what will you do?
So then what?
You will book him for life?
So PA pressure, sir, if it is on a little on a higher side, we
If
can
it
go for
is, supposing it is 40 pulmonary artery pressure, he's got very well developed pulmonary artery pressures. I am saying that the pulmonary artery mean pressure is about 30 or 30 in this patient.
PA banding and
Yes, that's right. So you will do what is called as the PA banding in this patient. Now, PA banding is usually done to see that the pulmonary vasculature involutes over the course of time. And on an average, a pulmonary banding procedure for the pulmonary artery vasculature involute takes on an average about a year. After the year, you can again reassess the pulmonary artery pressures and then consider whether the patient can be taken up for Fontan or not. Okay. All right.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Very good. Good presentation. The only thing is differential diagnosis of a tricuspid atresia against a single ventricle is a very, very close one. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Very, very close one. It cannot be said, but the commoner things, as we say, comes first. So when you give a differential diagnosis, it is tricuspid atresia versus a single ventricle. Okay. Wow. When we talk about single ventricle, what is the classification of a single ventricle? I'm not talking about tricuspid atresia. I'm talking about single ventricle classification. One is normally related great vessel, the other is D-transpose great vessel, D-malpose great vessels, and the other one is L-malpose great vessels. Correct?
Yes, sir. So the single ventricle of the LV morphology with the inverted or the non-inverted outlet chamber.
Normal can be what?
So most common is single ventricle with the inverted outlet chamber, sir. And the L transposition of great arteries.
Okay, I will ask you another question, Annie.
Yes, sir.
The single ventricle, is it dependent upon the morphology? I mean, is it dependent upon the great vessel communication, or whether it is not related to the great vessel communications?
What it is?
You understand what my question is? That
Yes,
you
sir.
have a patient who has got an atrial situs solitus.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and the patient has got a D-transposition. We cannot
Yes,
call
sir.
it as D-transposition, we call it as D-malposition. Okay,
Yes, sir.
because both the great vessels are arising from the single ventricle.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
or the patient has got a single ventricle with L malposition of the great vessels.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So in other words, what I'm trying to say, the morphology of the ventricle will depend upon the great vessel relationships.
It will depend, sir.
Correct or not? So in
Yes.
D-transposition, what will be the connection?
Sir, in detransposition, sir, the LV will be connected to the pulmonary artery, sir, and the outlet chamber will be connected to the aorta.
Yes, yes, it will all depend upon what is the size of the outlet chamber. So you will have either an outlet chamber or you will have an outlet pouch when
Yes,
there
sir.
is no great vessel arising from it. Correct? That is the morphology of the single ventricle. You have two types of single ventricle morphology. Either the great vessel arises from the pouch, which is the representative of the obsolete ventricle, okay,
Yes, sir.
or it is only acting as a pouch, okay.
Okay, sir.
Correct or not? You understand what I'm trying to say, no? You have a
Yes, sir.
larger ventricle and you have an outlet pouch. Now the outlet pouch can have a great vessel arising or it may not have a great vessel arising. If there is no great vessel arising from the outlet pouch, that means it is a rudimentary ventricular pouch. And both the
Yes.
greater vessels are arising from the main chamber or the main ventricular chamber of the single ventricle. Correct?
Yes,
Now,
sir.
if you have a D transposition or D malposition of great vessels, what will be the connections be? We are not talking about tricuspid atria. So we have got an RA, we have got an RV, we have got a tricuspid valve, we have got a mitral valve. Correct? And they
Yes,
are
sir.
going into a single ventricle and the patient has got a D transposition. So what is the connection?
Sir, LV will be connected to the pulmonary artery, sir.
Will be on the tricuspid valve side, correct or not?
Yes, sir.
And the great vessel is going to be arising, the ventricle, the RV is going to be arising from the RV will give rise to the aorta.
Yes, sir.
You're talking about a normal connections. Now, if the patient has got a single ventricle with an outlet chamber, okay, in a detransposed great vessel, where is the outlet chamber positioned?
Outlet chamber
There
is
are-
positioned. Sir, either
Yes.
it will be inverted on the left side of the main ventricle or it will be on the right side of the main ventricle.
You're correct, absolutely correct. It will be either on the left side or it is on the right side. Okay. So
Yes, sir.
if it is a single ventricle with a detransposed great vessels, what
So it
will
will
be
be
the
on-
connections be? Left
So
side,
it-
supposing it is the outlet chamber is on the left side, then what will be the connection?
If the outlet chamber is on the left side, sir, then the aorta will be arising from the outlet chamber.
Correct. You are very perfect, absolutely. And the pulmonary artery will be arising from the main chamber. Correct?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
in the left side. And this outlet chamber will represent what?
So it represents the RV, sir.
It will be the rudimentary RV. Rudimentary RV. Correct or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Vis-a-vis, if you have the left ventricle, the outlet chamber coming on the left side, then what happens? You talk about rudimentary chamber coming on the left side. If it is coming on the right side, what happens? Which is the
Then-
rudimentary chamber?
Then also, sir, it is RV only.
No.
If it
The
is
outlet
LV,
chamber is the ventricle is going to give rise to the aorta, the main artery, and that is going to be the RV type of single ventricle, and the left ventricle will be the rudimentary one, which is giving to the outlet pouch of the left ventricle. Hello.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Exactly opposite of what you said. If the outlet part is on the left side, it is the rudimentary RV. If it
Okay,
is
sir.
on the right side, it is the LV. Okay, where the great
Okay.
vessel is arising from the main chamber, that is the aorta, will be from the right ventricle, and this is the morphology of a single ventricle when it is having a detransposed great vessels. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Now,
Yes, sir.
when we come to a single ventricle with a normally related great vessels, what
Yes,
is
sir.
the morphology for these patients? Single ventricle. What is the Holmes heart?
So in Holmes heart, the LV, the main ventricle, sir, the LV morphology that will give rise to the aorta, sir.
Correct. So
And
Holmes
the
heart is a one where it is the LV which is the dominant one, okay,
yes,
giving rise to the aorta, and right ventricle is the rudimentary chamber, either giving rise of arresting as a pouch, or it may give rise to the pulmonary artery. Correct?
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Correct or not? And
Yes, sir.
usually it is connected on to the pouch is like the normal relations, a VSD, a pouch, and the pulmonary artery arising from it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that is the
Yes, sir.
normally related, and the Holmes heart is one where it can be a right ventricular type or it can be a left ventricular type also. But when you talk about Holmes heart, it is the dominant left ventricular type of a single ventricle. Okay, the
Okay, sir.
one where a single ventricle with normally related great vessels, if it is the RV type, then it is not the Holmes heart.
Okay, sir.
You understood? No? Are you understanding what I'm trying to say?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Single ventricle RV type and normally related gate arteries won't be Holmes heart, sir. In
Correct.
Holmes heart,
It is not the Holmes heart. Holmes heart
yes,
has to be the LV morphology of the great
yes,
vessel which is there. That is the classics of a Holmes heart. And there in that feature, you have a classical ECG pattern, which I am going to ask you next time.
sure, sir. Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir.
Now a word before you go on to the other things is how, supposing if you have a patient who has been taken up for a cardiac catheter just last 5 minutes before I
Yes,
go,
sir.
and you want to distinguish between a constrictive pericarditis and a restrictive. Hello.
Hello, yes,
Uh, yeah, a constrictive pericarditis, if you take up for an catheterization, okay,
yes,
what are the features you will get on the hemodynamics? How will you distinguish between the two as far as the hemodynamics are concerned, as far as constriction versus restriction is concerned? Just 3 or 4 points which you have to tell me. This is last 2 minutes. Differential diagnosis, whether it is constriction or restriction as far as hemodynamics are concerned.
in the constrictive restrictive cardiomyopathy, sir, the PA systolic pressure will be higher. It will be more than 50 millimeters of mercury.
Very,
But
very good. First is the PA pressure is likely to be greater than 50. Okay, first criteria. That is of restrictive cardiomyopathy. Correct?
yes, yes, sir.
Okay,
And
greater than 50. Constrictive pericarditis, usually it is less than 50. Systolic. 1
yes, sir.
point. Correct?
Yes,
Second
sir.
point is what? Very good. Second,
Second point, sir. The LV, there is a for the end diastolic pressures, but there is a difference. That equalizer, it is less than 5 millimeters of mercury. So that difference.
don't say equalization. Okay,
Yes, sir.
they are
Near
near to each other. Near to each other. The end diastolic pressure equalization. Okay,
yes,
that means of the left ventricular end diastolic pressure and the right ventricular end diastolic pressure. If you subtract the LV end diastolic pressure from that you subtract the right ventricular end diastolic pressure. In constrictive, it is usually less than 5 millimeters of
yes, sir.
mercury. Okay, whereas
Yes,
in restrictive cardiomyopathy it is more than 5 millimeter. That means what? It tells you that the RV end diastolic pressure is going to be higher in patients
yes,
who have got restrictive cardiomyopathy because it is a ventricular dysfunction. Correct or not?
yes, sir.
So that is why the pressure grade difference will be more than 5 as far as the restrictive cardiomyopathy is concerned. Okay. What is
Yes,
the
sir.
third criteria?
So there will be uh, ventricular interdependence. It will be an exaggerated ventricular interdependence in constrictive pericarditis, sir.
So what does that hemodynamically transpire into? Okay, I'll give you a hint. There is something which is called as the right ventricular end diastolic pressure against the right ventricular systolic pressure.
Yes, sir. Because RV systolic pressure is more in case of RCMP, so that ratio is less than 1/3 in the
Correct.
right.
Correct. So the ratio in a cardiomyopathy is going to be less than 0.33
Yes, sir.
in a restrictive cardiomyopathy, whereas here it will be more than 33, 1/3. Okay.
Yes, yes, sir.
What is the last criteria?
Sir,
Hemodynamics.
Sir, this rapid filling waves, sir, of LV, that is more than 7 millimeters of mercury.
See, by and large, in the constrictive pericarditis, you get the typical square root sign. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, the square root sign is the normal dip of the end diastolic pressure and rapid rise of the pressure in the mid diastole to late diastole. Correct? That is why you get the square root sign. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, the feature which is very, very classical as far as constriction is concerned is the Kussmaul sign.
Okay, sir.
What does Kussmaul sign tell you?
Sir, in a Kussmaul sign, sir, there will be increase in the JVP with the inspiration, sir. Exaggerated increase.
Correct. So it transpires into the hemodynamics as what? There is a lack of fall of pressure in the right atrium during inspiration.
Okay.
You understand, no? Normally what happens when you take a deep breath, the intrathoracic pressure falls, which gets transmitted to the right atrium. The right atrial pressure falls. So the right atrial pressure also falls with the inspiration. Correct or not?
Yes.
Whereas in constriction, because of the check rein mechanism, the right atrial pressure will never fall.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Because the right atrium is not allowed to expand at all because of the inspiratory fall. Okay? Or in the pressure. So these are the 4 criterias which will tell you, as far as hemodynamics is concerned, of differential diagnosis between the constriction and restriction is concerned. Okay. Anything you know about what is the pulmonary capillary wedge pressure as far as constriction is concerned? What is the peculiarity of that? Last question. It is 2 o'clock. Peculiarity of the pulmonary capillary wedge pressure in constrictive pericarditis.
So it will be high, sir.
Why it should be high? Is the patient
in restrictive it is raised, sir?
In restrictive it will be slightly higher. It depends upon what it is, whether it is a bilateral restrictive cardiomyopathy or whether it is only a dominant right ventricular EMF. It is totally different. What is the classical feature of a patient who has got constriction as far as the pulmonary capillary wedge pressure is concerned? This is the last question. Anybody wants to try? What happens with the phases of respiration as far as
the difference between the pulmonary capillary wedge pressure in inspiration and expiration will be more than 5 millimeter.
That's right. There will be an increase in the pulmonary capillary wedge pressure during expiration, and the difference will be significantly more as far as constrictive pericarditis is concerned. Did you get it?
Yes,
Hello?
sir. Yes, sir.
Pulmonary capillary wedge pressure will be much higher during expiration as compared to inspiration. Normally, what is the thing? The inspiratory pressure is slightly more. or maybe the same as the expiration. The phases of respiration do not make much changes as far as the pulmonary capillary pressure is concerned. But in
Yes, sir.
constrictive pericarditis, the pulmonary capillary wedge pressure will be higher during expiration. Okay? So these
Okay,
are the features which helps you to differentiate between a constriction and a restrictive cardiomyopathy. Okay. So a lot of
Okay.
questions we have asked. Annie, I
Yes.
don't know whether Pragati is there or not. I think next time we'll take it. Whatever we had asked last time. So whatever I asked for, I will write it down because I keep forgetting. I'm becoming old. Yeah, tell me.
So
I
first
asked
is
you about what? Of
prematurity, congenital heart disease and prematurity association, sir.
Yeah, and post maturity
And
also.
post maturity also.
Yeah.
And so mental retardation and
Yes,
associated.
mental retardation associated with. We have told most of the thing except for one. Yeah. Last one.
Yes. Then, sir, both pulmonary arteries are at a much higher level in TGA. So,
Yeah. Why they are in transposition? I'm
yes,
okay.
sir.
In transposition, pulmonary artery levels.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and the fifth one, nothing. Okay, fine.
So,
Anything else I had asked?
yes, sir. Conventional Fontan where we connect the IVC and like,
Correct. The conventional Fontaines versus the modified Fontaines. Correct.
yes, sir.
Okay. First
ECG in
class.
case of single ventricle Holmes heart.
That is most important. Holmes heart.
Yes,
These
sir.
are just one-liners for you. So
Okay.
you can find out and let me know next time. Okay. All right.
Yes.
Okay. Good.
Thank you.
Good. Very good. Good. But the other thing is you must.
Yes, sir.
This is a very, very commonly asked question, which is there as far as the constriction versus restriction is concerned. You must have the picture very, very clear in your mind.
Okay,
The
sir.
other thing is, as I told you, although I told you the basics of this thing, you must know everything in detail about the Valsalva maneuver.
Yes, sir.
1, 2, 3, 4. And 4 points is, as I said, first one is the venous return, both the systemic and the pulmonary venous return, the cardiac output and the blood pressure, both hand in hand, and the third one is the heart rate. Okay? Everything, if you know about Valsalva as far as this, then the changes in the murmurs which occur with Valsalva is very, very easy to understand. Okay? All right? Okay. Okay. Good. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bye. Bye. Bye.